Jai Hind friends. So in today's lecture we will discuss CSS Pseudo-Class and Pseudo-Elements. So myself Dr. Sachin Jain, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science Engineering, Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So outline of today's lecture will be Pseudo-Class and Pseudo-Elements. So what is pseudo-class? Pseudo-class is used to define a special state of an element. So we have various elements inside the HTML tag, and we want to display the we want to use the special state of an element. We can use pseudo-class. So for example, to style an element when user mouse over it, so we can use pseudo-element, pseudo-class. I am taking a pen here. So pseudo-class is used to define a special state of an element. For example, I am saying that we want to style an element when we mouse over it. So this is the state. When we want to style an element that is widgeted or unwidgeted, so this is the state. So state can be different, and we want to give a style to that state. Then this comes a concept that is called pseudo-class. So the syntax of pseudo-class is, we will write the first selector here on which we want to apply the state, different state, then its pseudo-class, then curly braces open, curly braces close, and in between we will write the property and value. So let's see an example. For if you want to talk about the various pseudo-class of anchor tag, then it can be a link, widgeted, hover, active, focus, or first child pseudo-class. So we want to create a link that use a class to add a special style on a unwidgeted link, then we can use a::link. If we want to style a class that is widgeted, so we can use a::widgeted. If we want to take a mouse over the link, then we can use hover pseudo-class. If it is active, then we can use active pseudo-class. If it get focused, then we can use focus pseudo-class, and we can also use the first child pseudo-class, that is the class to add a special style to an element that is the first child of some another element. So these are the possible pseudo-class that we can style with the help of CSS. So when we are defining a pseudo-class in a style block, we should follow the following point. So if we are writing a hover pseudo-class, it must come after a link or a widgeted pseudo-class in order to be effective. If we are writing a active pseudo-class, then it must come after a hover pseudo-class to get it more effective. If we are using pseudo-class that are not case sensitive, I just want to say that the pseudo-class name are not case sensitive, we can write in any order. So in pseudo-class are different from CSS class, but they can be combined as well. So these are the 4 points that we should keep in mind when we are using the pseudo-class. So let's see an example of link pseudo-class. So the selector here is A, and the pseudo-class name is link, and then curly braces, then this is the property column, this is the possible value. So when we are creating an anchor tag here, then we can style this anchor tag value with pseudo-class link with color value this one. Now widgeted pseudo-class, if we want to change the color of a widgeted link, then we can use the pseudo class that is a widgeted, and this is the property and this is the value. So pseudo class can be used directly. First we will write the name, then pseudo class, then curly braces open, then this is the property colon, this is the possible value. We want to create a pseudo class that is a hover pseudo class, then a colon hover, then property, then colon, then its possible value. So when we will take a mouse over it, then the color will be changed with this value. Now active pseudo class. If we want to change the color of an active link, then we can change it by active pseudo class. So this is the anchor tag on which we want to change the color. Then we will write a active color colon. This is the possible value. So next pseudo class is focus pseudo class. So focus pseudo class, we want to focus it, then a colon focus, then color colon its possible value. First child pseudo class. So first child pseudo class can be used on paragraph. So if we want to write a paragraph inside a HTML page and its first element is this div, so this div will be changed based on this pseudo class. Possible value text indent 25 pixel. So whatever property that we want to change on a text or a paragraph, that will be effective with this P first child pseudo class. Now next topic of today's lecture is pseudo element. So pseudo element is used to style a specific part of an element. So in the pseudo class we see we are changing the style based on the state of an element. Now we are not changing here in pseudo element based on the state, we are changing the style based on the specified part of an element. So this is important and this is the only difference between a pseudo class and pseudo element. In pseudo class we see the state and in pseudo element we see only the specified part of an element. For example, there is an element called paragraph and we want to style the first letter of this paragraph, or we want to style a simple line of this paragraph. So we will use this pseudo element, not pseudo class. So how we will write the pseudo element? So first we will write the selector on which we want to apply the pseudo element, then we will write the pseudo element name, then curly braces open, then property, then its value. So possible pseudo element can be first line of a paragraph, first letter of a paragraph, before value of a paragraph, or element after value of a paragraph or element. So how we can use this is the example. So we want to add a special effect to the first line of a element of a document. So if we are not changing the whole paragraph or a whole document, we are just changing the small part of a paragraph or a document. So we will write P is a paragraph, first line is a pseudo element, and text decoration colon underline. So we are just changing or we are just applying the style on the first line, not whole paragraph. So this is the pseudo element. Before pseudo element. So before part of a paragraph can be changed with p colon before pseudo elements. So add some content or style some content before any element can be changed with this before pseudo element. Now next pseudo element is after. So after pseudo element can be used p colon after, then this is property colon and this is possible value. So after pseudo element can be used like this. First letter pseudo class, pseudo element. So first letter, we don't want to change the whole paragraph, we don't want to change the first line, we just want to change the first letter of a paragraph. So we can use first letter pseudo element. So p colon first letter and the property that we want to change colon the possible value that we want to change. Or specific, we can use paragraph p whose values is normal and we want to change the first letter it, then with property font size that is 10 pixel. So a paragraph whose class value is normal will get affected with first letter change with font size 10 pixel. So if we are defining a class to a paragraph or ID to a paragraph, we can write p dot class name colon the first letter that is a pseudo element and curly braces open, curly braces colon, and in between we will write the property colon value. So this is the way of writing the pseudo element. So there is clear difference between a pseudo class and pseudo element, that pseudo class represent the particular state of a element and pseudo element represent the particular part of a element, not complete element. So that's all for today's class.